All right, so life before Christ for me was, I would consider it lonely. I'd say at this point in my life now, I can look back at it and say unnecessarily difficult. Hey, my name is Mike Figlio. This is my faith story. I grew up, it was a little bit of a rough childhood. My family was poor. My mother had me when she was very young. My father passed away when I was 8. He actually had some mental health issues and committed suicide. So it led me to a lot of anger. It led to teenage years where I was alone. I wanted to be alone. I stayed, by myself most often, but at the same time, I was naturally gifted as an athlete and academically, so everything kind of came easy to me that way. So it wasn't really until after high school where I really experienced failure, and it was that failure point that led me to think that there's something more. Like I struggled in college with school for the first time in my life. I joined the military. I was injured, came home, had a hard time finding a job, was in a lot of debt. And then at some point, I met my wife. We started dating, and she had similar struggles, so we had that common ground. But the difference between us was that she had a foundation in faith. So where I didn't, so I never really sought anything. I thought I could do everything on my own. I thought that, I didn't need help. I didn't need anybody else. And quite honestly, intentionally stayed away from God, feeling as though it was a crutch. But as her and I started to, we moved in together, as we started to get to know each other more, there was just something about her that made me question it more, that made me seek something else, that I wanted answers for, really just life. So we started going to church with her, and I started to learn, more about God, more about Christ. I really enjoyed the historical aspect of it, so that kept me in a way entertained and interested. And then feelings, started to stir. So it was like, I just wanted to know more. I kept wanting to know more. Then you would see things in your life start to change a little bit. Now, I would call that sort of the beginning of the transitional phase for me. In particular, that the interest became great. But it wasn't easy at the same time. So there's still life challenges, still plenty of things to go through. My wife and I, after we got married, we struggled to have kids. And it was at the same time where I had really started to understand my faith and want to, again, like I said, pursue more. And that was kind of a setback. So it really challenged me to just continue to move forward. But at the same time, I became very angry again. Like I fell right back into a teenager almost, where I wanted to control those things myself. And I got a little mad with God at that time. And it almost ruined my marriage. There was a time where my wife and I just weren't seeing eye to eye on how to pursue with our family goals. We struggled, we discussed it, we met with a pastor, we prayed about it. We started to attend some small groups and hearing other people's struggles with that. So yeah, we really struggled. We really struggled to have kids, and it was a challenge for me to wrap my head around science. We explored IVF. We went through a number of different treatments to get pregnant. And as it turns out, we met with our pastor. Like I said, we had explored and discussed in our small groups. We met other people, and we decided that, what we learned was that this is part of our story. So that kind of opened my heart again to what God's plan may be, that it's not my plan, it's His plan. So maybe this is just another challenge to to cross and to rely on Him to help us with that. And lo and behold, I've learned that God does have a sense of humor, because we're the parents of 4 young children now, which is way more than I certainly prayed for, but it's great. So now where we are, we still have ups and downs. We still have our challenges. You still have your doubts. You still have difficult times, but it's extremely comforting knowing that Christ is with me, that I can rely on Him in all things, and I still want to learn more. I want to know more. I've learned that I can be comforted through Him, and that the challenges that He puts in front of me are meant so that we walk together. If there's anything that I would leave you with this, when I think about my story and some of the challenges that I've had and some of the struggles that I've had with my faith, but also in life, and how those two things then became intertwined. The verse that I come back to is James 1, 2, and 3. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance.